In the high desert of New Mexico, silence is a lie. For some, the quiet of the night isn't peaceful. It's filled with a sound that shouldn't exist. They call it the hum, a relentless, low-frequency thrum that crawls under your skin and refuses to let go. This isn't just a story. For a small percentage of people in Taos, New Mexico, it's a living nightmare. Imagine trying to sleep, to read, to just exist, while a phantom engine idles inside your skull. This is their reality. The phenomenon first exploded into public view in the early 1990s. Residents of Taos began reporting a persistent, maddening sound. It was a low, pulsating noise, almost a vibration, that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. What made it so terrifying? Not everyone could hear it. You could be standing next to a friend, one of you in agony, the other in complete peace. Doctors were stumped, neighbors became skeptical. Sufferers known as hearers were isolated, their torment dismissed as imagination or a simple ringing in the ears. But this was no ordinary tinnitus. The symptoms were starkly physical. Chronic headaches, nausea, dizziness, and even nosebleeds plagued those who heard the sound. The most universal complaint, however, was crippling insomnia. Night after night, the hum would crescendo, robbing them of sleep, driving them to the brink of despair. Some lined their walls with egg cartons and foam, desperate for any relief. Others wore industrial earmuffs to bed, a futile attempt to block a sound that felt like it was coming from inside their own head. The hum wasn't just an annoyance, it was an invisible torture device. The situation in Taos grew so dire that it captured national attention. In 1993, the United States Congress actually mandated an investigation. A team of scientists from top institutions, like the University of New Mexico and Los Alamos National Laboratory, descended on the small desert town. Their mission, to find the source of the mysterious hum. They brought with them the most sensitive acoustic equipment imaginable. Microphones capable of detecting sounds far below the range of human hearing were set up all over the area. They interviewed the hearers, cataloging their experiences with scientific precision. Was it a secret military project? Underground industrial activity? A strange geological phenomenon? The scientists were determined to find a physical, measurable source. They built anechoic chambers, rooms so perfectly soundproof that you can hear your own blood flowing. They brought hearers into these silent voids, hoping to finally isolate the sound. And that's when things got truly strange. Inside the chamber, surrounded by state-of-the-art equipment, the hearers still heard it. The low, grinding roar was as loud as ever. But the million-dollar microphones, they recorded nothing. Absolute, deafening silence. The needles on the audiometers didn't so much as twitch. For the scientists, it was a baffling failure. For the hearers, it was a terrifying validation. The sound was real, but it was undetectable by any conventional means. This anechoic failure was a turning point. It deepened the mystery and fueled the debate. If the most sensitive equipment in the world couldn't pick it up, was the sound truly external? Or was it, as many skeptics claimed, a bizarre, localized form of tinnitus? The hearers fought back against this diagnosis. Tinnitus is typically a high-pitched ringing. The hum was a low, rumbling frequency. Tinnitus is usually constant. The hum often got worse at night or in certain locations. Most tellingly, some hearers found they could escape the sound by driving just a few miles out of town. This suggested an external source, something rooted to the Taos area. But if that was true, why couldn't the machines hear it? The inability to find a concrete answer began to tear at the fabric of the community. Town hall meetings became tense, emotional battlegrounds. You can see it in the grainy camcorder footage from the era, faces etched with exhaustion and frustration. Hearers would stand up, their voices shaking, and plead with local officials to do something, to just believe them. On the other side were their neighbors, their friends, who heard nothing and were growing weary of the complaints. The division was palpable. Was this a collective psychosis? A mass hallucination triggered by suggestion? The psychological toll was immense. People lost jobs, relationships fractured, and the mental health of the hearers deteriorated under the constant sonic assault and social isolation. The hum was no longer just a sound, it had become a psychological weapon, turning neighbor against neighbor. Some hearers sold their homes and fled Taos, the only way to reclaim their sanity, but many stayed, unable or unwilling to leave their lives behind. Among them were the native people and longtime residents of the high desert who offered a different perspective. They spoke not of frequencies and decibels, but of the land itself. Some believed the earth was groaning, crying out from some deep imbalance. They pointed to the vast, empty landscapes and the deep military history of the region, whispering about things hidden beneath the desert floor. To them, the hum wasn't a technical problem to be solved, but a spiritual warning, a sign that something was profoundly wrong. Their calm, unsettled certainty stood in stark contrast to the frantic desperation of the hearers and the frustrated skepticism of the scientists. They believed the answer wasn't in a laboratory, but in listening to the earth itself. The mystery of the Taos hum wasn't just about what people were hearing, but what the rest of us were failing to. And the investigation had only just begun. The hum isn't just in the air. For some, it's a vibration that seems to come from the very ground beneath their feet, a low, persistent thrumming that penetrates walls, earth, and bone. What if the source isn't something you can see, but something that was deliberately buried? Let's look at a map of New Mexico. Dotted across this vast, arid landscape are not just towns and natural wonders, but also some of the United States' most secretive military installations: Los Alamos, White Sands, Kirtland Air Force Base. Could the answer to the Taos hum be hidden deep within one of these classified zones? This leads us to one of the most compelling and controversial theories: Project GWEN, the ground wave emergency network. Designed during the Cold War, GWEN was a communications system intended to survive a nuclear attack. It didn't rely on satellites or conventional radio towers that could be easily destroyed. Instead, it used very low frequency, or VLF waves. These signals could travel immense distances through the Earth's crust itself, using the planet as a giant conductor to send messages to nuclear submarines hiding in the depths of the ocean. The network consisted of a series of unmanned transmitter towers, some hundreds of feet tall, spread across the country. The official story is that the GWEN project was decommissioned in the late 1990s, but conspiracy theories persist. What if it was never truly shut down? What if it was upgraded, taken underground, and repurposed? Imagine a covert engineer, deep in a subterranean bunker, calibrating a system that sends powerful electromagnetic pulses through the bedrock. For them, it's just a job, maintaining a critical line of communication. But for the people living on the surface, could the resonance from these deep Earth signals be the unintentional, maddening side effect we call the Taos hum? Researchers who study VLF and LF for extremely low frequency waves know that these signals can have strange effects. They interact with the ionosphere, the charged upper layer of our atmosphere, effectively turning it into a giant mirror to bounce signals around the globe. This isn't science fiction. It's the basis for global military communication. Is it so far-fetched to believe that a powerful low-frequency broadcast could create a persistent, audible vibration for a small percentage of the population who are uniquely sensitive to it? The military is in a constant hidden war for control of the electromagnetic spectrum. The hum could simply be the collateral damage of a battle we can't even see. The truth, as they say, might not be in the air but locked away in the soil. But what if the source is even deeper? Deeper than any military bunker? What if the hum isn't man-made at all? Some locals in Taos, particularly those with deep roots in the land, have a different perspective. They don't talk about frequencies or military projects. They say the earth is groaning, that the hum is the planet's way of crying out. This leads us to the geological theory. Our planet is a living, breathing entity. Underneath our feet, tectonic plates are constantly grinding against each other. Magma churns in the mantle. The Earth's core spins, generating a massive magnetic field. We're accustomed to the dramatic expressions of this activity, like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. But what about the more subtle noises? Scientists call it microseismic activity. tiny, imperceptible tremors that happen constantly. The Rio Grande Rift, a major geological feature that runs right through New Mexico, is a zone where the Earth's crust is actively being pulled apart. Thermal imaging of the area shows unusual heat spots, suggesting deep subterranean activity. Could the Taos hum be the acoustic signature of this slow, powerful stretching of the continent? A sound generated by the friction of rock on rock, miles below the surface, resonating upwards through the specific geology of the Taos Valley? For the hearers, this theory feels profoundly different. It's not an invisible enemy to be fought, but a force of nature to be endured. It transforms the hum from a technological nuisance into something more elemental, almost spiritual. It's the sound of the planet itself, a warning perhaps, of immense pressures building deep within the mantle. Is the Earth breathing, or is it gasping for breath? This theory suggests we are not being targeted, but are simply living on a dynamic and noisy world, and some of us are just unlucky enough to have our ears tuned to its deepest, most unsettling frequency. Now let's fast forward. The year is 2026. The Taos hum is no longer just a local curiosity in a small New Mexico town. Reports are flooding in from around the globe. Windsor, Ontario, Bristol, England, Sydney, Australia. People in bustling cities and quiet suburbs are beginning to hear it. The same maddening low-frequency drone. A global map starts to light up with pulsing red circles, each one a new cluster of hearers, a new epicenter of this acoustic mystery. What changed? The world of 2026 is a world saturated with technology in a way we've never seen before. 5G towers are on every street corner. Low Earth orbit is crowded with vast constellations of communication satellites, blanketing the planet in signals. The background noise of industrial civilization, from massive server farms to global shipping, has reached an all-time high. The acoustic environment, what scientists call the soundscape, is fundamentally different. Is it possible that this new, dense web of electromagnetic radiation and ambient noise is interacting in unforeseen ways? Perhaps it's amplifying a pre-existing signal, like the Earth's natural resonance, pushing it above the threshold of human hearing for more and more people. Or maybe our own technology is creating the hum, a new form of pollution that affects not the air we breathe, but the silence we crave. The deep end, that chaotic mix of natural and artificial frequencies, is getting louder, and as it does, more people are being pulled into the nightmare that began in Taos. The mystery is no longer contained, it's gone global.